My sister went skydiving to frame me and my parents were furious. They punished me by hanging me from a helicopter, swaying in the wind. You must personally experience the pain Noella has gone through, to relieve us of our hatred. High in the sky, my hands were swollen and numb, my mouth was covered and the strong wind blowing in my face made it hard for me to breathe. How could you be jealous of your sister and intentionally harmed her? Consider this punishment as a stern warning for you. The knot on my hand suddenly loosened, and I fell straight into the sea. My body slapped against the surface of the water, causing a sharp pain in my internal organs. Unfortunately, my hands and feet were tied tightly, so even if I struggled desperately, I could only let myself be eaten by sharks, and my blood dyed the sea red. 3 days later, my sister, Noella Lawrence, pretended to be reluctant, and said, "We should bring Madeline back. Even if she doesn't like me, she's still my sister after all." But I was just a piece of flesh floating alone. It's been so many days, why hasn't Madeline come back yet? Could it be that she was mad at us, and didn't want to see us anymore, so she just found some yellow-haired guy to elope with? Noella had tears in her eyes and a choked voice. I'm really worried about her. My father, Jacob Lawrence, put down his mobile phone and frowned. The sea area she fell into is not too far from the shore. She shouldn't have been unable to come back after 3 days. She must have lost her temper again and gone somewhere to fool around. It's okay to just fool around a little, but this time, she actually wants to harm Noella's life, said my mother, Liliana Lawrence, her face filled with fear. Luckily, Noella survived. Otherwise, I couldn't even imagine. How would I live without her? Besides, that scoundrel can swim. What could happen? She has been causing trouble for a few years. I wish she could. Liliana paused, looked at Noella lovingly, and did not continue her words. Jacob pondered for a moment and nodded. Your mom is right. She can swim and she's tough. She will be fine. And you suffered so much last time that you couldn't even sleep well. I found a psychologist for you. The fear you suffer from is not a small matter. Liliana cupped Noella's little face gently and lovingly. She felt heartache seeing her beloved daughter suffer. Dear, you've been in a bad mood these past few days, and you even have dark circles under your eyes. I'm really heartbroken, looking at this happy and contented family of 3. To be honest, I envied them so much. If only I was not the scourge and the fool they said I was. At the last moment of drowning and suffocation, I felt lighter and lighter. It was not until I saw my lifeless eyes and my body slowly falling that I realized belatedly, I was already dead. But on the other side, I clearly saw my parents in the helicopter, coldly watching me fall into the sea. Liliana gently comforted Noella. Don't be afraid, dear. Your mom and I will teach her a lesson, and will never let her off easily, said Jacob in cold tone while staring at the sea. This punishment is not enough. Let her soak down there for a while first. After we lift her and bring her home, we will have to lock her up and beat her so hard that she won't dare to do bad things again. After a quite high of sea waves, it gradually calmed down. Noella carried a hint of pity. Madeline didn't come to the surface on purpose. Is she angry with me because she has something against me? She knows how to swim. Mom, Dad, how about I jump down to save her? I can't bear to see her torturing herself. She said what? Hey, she was the one who tied my hands and feet and even covered my mouth. Even though I was a swimming champion, I could not save myself in this kind of situation. My mother and father did not feel anything unusual. Following Noella's words, my mother sounded indignant. She has been scheming since she was a child. This time she must be trying to act miserable again. Does she think we will feel sorry for her if she does this? Jacob snorted coldly. Dare to touch our Noella. I wish I could tear her into pieces. They are both daughters we raised in the same way, but how come Madeline has grown up into a scoundrel? Even though I had become a soul, I was deeply hurt by these words. The feeling of being wronged but unable to defend myself kept lingering in my mind. After so many years, I was so familiar with this feeling of being unable to defend myself. Jacob just rubbed Noella's hair lovingly. Noella, you are too kind-hearted. She has hurt you so much, but you still care about her. It's because you are too kind-hearted that she bullies you over and over again. Noella pouted her lips, which were clearly full of grievances, but she opened her mouth and said, It's okay, Dad. I'm not angry with Madeline. I sincerely want to help her change for the better. Don't want her to ruin herself with her own hands. Again, there was a hint of pity in my parents' eyes. Why are you always so sensible, Noella? She was gently and lightly coaxed as I struggled and suffocated underwater, until I sank to the bottom of the sea. From the depths of the blue sea, the helicopter disappeared from my sight. With my only hope of survival, it left my world forever. I wanted to cry, but my tears dissolved into the ocean without a trace. Mom, Dad, please bring Madeline back. She's my biological sister after all. I am really worried about her after not seeing her for a few days. There are so many temptations out there. I'm just afraid that she'll go astray. If she gets involved with someone shady, it would hurt our family's reputation, and it wouldn't be good. Noella was lying on the hospital bed, with a pale face and tears still welling up in her eyes. My mother suddenly frowned and fell silent for a moment, then quickly softened after looking at her beloved daughter. You're still thoughtful. When I bring her home, I will make sure she apologizes to you properly, so as not to disappoint you for still caring about her despite being angry. But no one answered the phone, and no one received a response on WhatsApp. Noella looked at the screen full of self-talk. Her face hurt. Madeline must be mad at me. She doesn't answer my calls or reply to my text messages. What should I do, Mom? Dad? I don't want her to hate me. My parents looked at the missed call on her phone screen, their faces filled with anger. Liliana gently coaxed, Noella, don't be sad. She dared to be so bold as not to pick up your call and even reply to your message. When I find her and bring her back, I must make her kneel down and apologize to you. Jacob quickly called a private detective and asked him to find me at all costs. After hanging up the phone, he said in a cold tone, she doesn't know she's wrong and she's even worse. When I find her, I'll make her pay the price.